Neil Cavuto and Stephen Moore are going to bash the idea of paid sick leave on Fox Business Network.
All right, forget just New York City. Is this enough to make small businesses start getting nervous in every city? New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing big changes in the city's paid sick leave law, at least his goal, so that businesses with as few as 5 workers now have to give workers at least 5 sick days. As it stands now, the minimum is 20 workers, so a lot more could be caught under this change. And other cities could follow suit, and that's the big concern. Why Steve Moore says it is not up to government to make these decisions anyway. But Steve, the mayor's going full steam ahead.
He sure is. And, you know, these policies may sound familiar. They're very much like what happens in Europe, where they basically treat businesses like they're social welfare agencies. If somebody gets sick, you know, we feel bad about it. If they get injured, the burden of paying for that be on the backs of small businesses. I calculated this one change would cost small businesses in the city of New York about $50 million, and small businesses don't have that kind of money.
All right, now the argument for it is that you get more bang for the buck in terms of employee morale, and it improves a good sense of payback for the boss, and bosses being understanding, blah, blah, blah. What do you make of that?
Well, a couple things. I mean, first of all, I would say that a lot of these businesses really can't afford the cost. They're operating on small margins. They're sick of being treated like ATM machines. And some businesses will move out of the city. They'll move somewhere else that is more business friendly. Others just may go out of business, not just because of this, Neil. I mean, this is a new administration that's taking over that is hostile to business. They want to raise tax rates. They want to raise the regulatory costs of these businesses. And I would say this, Neil, you know this. New York City is famous and rich because it is the financial capital of the world. And when you look at all these new regulations, all of these new taxes on capital, you wonder how long New York City can keep that standing.
I'm wondering, too, whether the mayor knows this might be a losing fight, as it would be to try to raise taxes on the wealthy of the city, because that's something he'd need approval from Albany, the capital. In other words, it's a state mandate there. But he doesn't care that he would be sending a message. I am going to go after businesses I think are not doing enough.
I think that's right. And, you know, what's interesting about this is that if you look at other cities and other places where Democrats rule, a lot of these politicians are looking at de Blasio in New York and saying, maybe we'll want to do this here in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or Chicago. So this is a tip of an iceberg. I think it's very dangerous for cities. Like, if you want to know the end game of where this all goes, when you treat businesses like they're cash machines and when you hoard new regulations and new taxes on them, I would say the end game here is Detroit, where businesses leave and they become like wastelands. Look, New York is not that, but I think it's moving in that direction.
Steve, good seeing you again. Yeah. Thank you. Steve Moore.
These guys are so ignorant, it drives me crazy. Okay, the reason why Detroit is basically a third world nation within the United States of America is because of conservative Republican policies that allow General Motors and other car businesses and factories to just pack up and ship everything to Mexico and Bangladesh and other third world nations where they could pay some little 14-year-old boy, you know, 37 cents an hour to do the same job that somebody in America needed $22 an hour plus benefits to do. Okay? It was getting rid of tariffs, getting rid of protectionist policies, allowing business owners to ship jobs overseas and not taxing them and not punishing them for it. In fact, incentivizing them to send the jobs overseas. That's what made Detroit turn into this third world nation within the United States. It's got nothing to do with Democratic policies. The Democratic policies would have kept all of those factory jobs there. It would still be, a booming middle-class area. Everybody would have their factory jobs. Everybody would work, 9 to 5. You punch in, you get the benefits, and that's what Democratic policies would be in favor of. So they wreck the city, and then they blame it on Democrats because Democrats got elected at the local level. Right, because at the local level, you can control such macroeconomic things like all the jobs being shipped overseas because you got rid of tariffs and protectionist policies. So that's just, I don't even think they're ignorant there. I just think they're misleading. I think they probably know the reality, but they're just lying about it. And then look at his other claims. Bill de Blasio is going to raise taxes and increase regulations and do. Okay, he didn't say anything about increasing regulations. You made that up. And the only thing he did say about raising taxes was, I will raise taxes $973 on people who make $1 million a year, and that will go to fund universal pre-K. Okay, that's only the most reasonable thing I've ever heard. And that has majority support in the city. So it's not this radical, crazy thing. $973, basically the cost of a muffin every day for people who make over $1 million a year. Please, you're the unreasonable one if you're not for that.